A U.S. official told ABC News that a Ukrainian delegation has agreed to the terms of a potential peace deal with the United States. The agreement was reached after secret talks between U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll and a Russian delegation in Abu Dhabi, following weekend meetings with Ukraine in Geneva. The 19-point peace plan no longer includes a point on amnesty regarding acts committed during the war, as well as limits on the future size of Ukraine's military. The Federal Reserve is divided over cutting interest rates, with some officials favoring a rate cut to stimulate the economy amid hiring slowdowns and inflation concerns. The odds of an interest rate cut have surged to nearly 85% from 30% last week, according to market sentiment. A quarter-point interest rate cut would reduce expenses for borrowers and potentially boost hiring, but risks driving up inflation. Policymakers disagree on whether to prioritize containing inflation or stimulating employment. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has stated that the central bank must balance its dual mandate of keeping inflation under control and maximizing employment. The Paris prosecutor announced that 4 more suspects have been arrested in connection with last month's heist at the Louvre Museum, in which thieves escaped with jewels worth $102 million. Preliminary charges have already been filed against 3 men and 1 woman arrested in October in connection with the heist, according to the AP. The investigation is ongoing. As Russian attacks on Ukraine's energy grid continue, civilians are adapting to regular blackouts as part of daily life. The blackouts have become a new normal for Ukrainians, with many finding ways to cope and adjust their routines accordingly. Prosecutors in New York say they have dismantled a sophisticated Porch pirate criminal organization that allegedly stole FedEx packages containing electronic devices. The indictment, announced on November 25, 2025, charges 14 individuals with various crimes related to the operation. According to authorities, the group targeted packages shipped via FedEx and used stolen identities to receive and resell the contents. The investigation involved collaboration between law enforcement agencies and FedEx officials. The indictment marks a significant blow to the alleged organization's activities, which were reportedly ongoing for several years. A University of Alabama at Birmingham, UAB football player, Daniel Israel Mincy, has been charged with attempted murder and aggravated assault after allegedly stabbing 2 teammates hours before a game on Saturday. The incident occurred at the Football Operations Center, and both injured players have since been released from the hospital. UAB officials confirmed that the decision to play the game was made after careful consideration and conversations with the players. The team will wrap up the season on Saturday against Tulsa. Actress Tara Reid was taken to a hospital in Chicago after her drink was allegedly tampered with at a hotel bar, according to video footage obtained by TMZ. Reid, who was in town for Comic-Con, appeared disoriented and slurring her words before being taken out on a stretcher by paramedics. A source close to the actress said she had gone down to the bar to enjoy a drink and a cigarette, but after noticing her glass of wine had a napkin on top of it. She took 2 sips and woke up in the hospital. Reid's agent picked her up from the hospital, and the pair flew back to Los Angeles. A representative for Reid said she is in the process of filing a police report. A security researcher has discovered that old Nest thermostats continue to send sensor data to Google, even after losing remote control features and official support. The devices, which were first and second generation Nest Learning thermostats, still upload detailed logs to Google, including temperature readings, humidity levels, motion activity, and ambient light data. This raises questions about transparency and user choice for people who assume the connection ended. Users can take steps to protect their privacy by reviewing their Google account activity, placing the device on a separate Wi-Fi network, blocking outbound traffic, disabling cloud features, removing old device associations, and adjusting router settings. UFC star Conor McGregor revealed on social media that he recently underwent Ibogaine treatment in Tijuana, Mexico, at the guidance of doctors at Stanford University. The treatment, which involves using the psychoactive substance from plants, Ibogaine, can treat traumatic brain injuries, TBIs, PTSD, anxiety, and depression. McGregor claimed he saw Jesus descended from the white marble steps of heaven during the treatment. He stated that the experience was incredible, intense, and absolutely eye-opening, and that it saved his life and that of his family. Ibogaine is not approved for medical use in the U.S., but Stanford researchers have advocated for its potential benefits. McGregor's suspension from the UFC is retroactive to March 2026, allowing him to return to competition 3 months before a potential White House fight card. President Donald Trump joked that former President Joe Biden's 2024 turkey pardons were invalid due to the use of an autopen. Trump made the joke while carrying out the White House Thanksgiving tradition, this year pardoning 2 turkeys named Gobble and Waddle. The crowd laughed as Trump said he saved last year's turkeys, Peach and Blossom, from being carved up after the nullification of Biden's pardons. This year's turkeys will move to North Carolina State University to serve as turkey ambassadors for our industry. First Lady Melania Trump held a poll on X to name this year's turkeys. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, is seeking to deport a criminal illegal alien who allegedly threw coffee on a baby, mother, and their dog during an altercation in Florida. Nina Jaskalainen, of Finland, has been in the U.S. illegally for over 2 decades. She was arrested earlier this month in New Smyrna and charged with battery and domestic violence. ICE lodged an arrest detainer to ensure she can never victimize another American family. Jaskalainen pleaded not guilty in court after the alleged incident on November 14. A 26-year-old woman was set on fire by a repeat offender in Chicago on November 17. Bethany McGee, from Indiana, is an avid reader and honors student who was critically injured while minding her own business on the CTA Blue Line train. The alleged attacker, Lawrence Reid, has spent decades cycling through the criminal justice system and was out on bond at the time of the assault. Authorities say Reid intentionally used gasoline to set McGee on fire, highlighting the failure of soft-on-crime policies in deep blue cities. The original winner of the 2025 World's Strongest Woman competition in Arlington, Texas, was stripped of the title after allegations that the athlete is transgender came to light. Andrea Thompson, the 2018 winner, stepped down from the podium at the event over the weekend after Jamie Booker won the title. The controversy surrounding Booker's participation has sparked debate about fairness and inclusivity in sports. Democratic congressional candidate Afton Benn is facing backlash over past posts calling to dissolve the Nashville Police Department, with her GOP opponent urging voters to stand with law enforcement. The controversy erupted before Tennessee's December 2nd special election, where Democrats have poured more than $1 million into the race to support candidate Afton Benn against Republican nominee Matt Van Epps. Benn's deleted tweets from 2020 have resurfaced as a key talking point in the final stretch. "It's unacceptable and disqualifying," Van Epps said Tuesday on Fox and Friends First. Tennessee State Rep. Afton Benn, a Democratic congressional candidate, attends a campaign event during the special election for Tennessee's 7th District in Nashville, 10, on November 13. George Walker, AP Photos. Both candidates are looking to replace former GOP Rep. Mark Green, who resigned from Congress earlier this year to take a job in the private sector. Representative Thomas Massie, our Congress, made light of President Donald Trump's repeated branding of him as Rand Paul Jr. in a post on X that contained screenshots of multiple Truth Social posts by Trump. Massie added the face with tears of joy emoji and joked, "BTW, the name is Ron Paul Jr. Rand and I were mixed up at the hospital." This comes after Trump reissued a broadside targeting both Massie and Senator Rand Paul, our Congress, in a Truth Social post last month. Massie has served in the House of Representatives since late 2012, but Trump is backing primary challenger Ed Galbraith. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order directing the state and Treasury departments to pursue terrorism designations for specific Muslim Brotherhood chapters in Egypt, Jordan, and Lebanon. The move marks one of the most significant shifts in U.S. policy toward the movement in decades. Analysts say the decision treats Islamist actors according to their behavior, not their branding. The review process aims to target components that engage in violence, rather than imposing a blanket ban on the ideology itself. The Muslim Brotherhood has been banned in multiple Arab countries and is accused of radicalization and efforts to undermine state institutions. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has called New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani the leader of the Democratic Party, sparking controversy and debate among party members. In an interview with CNBC on November 25, 2025, Bessent stated that Mamdani's campaign was great and that he is clearly the leader of the Democratic Party now. This statement has been met with skepticism by some Democrats, who argue that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer did not endorse Mamdani in the mayoral race. Other key New York Democrats, including House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Governor Kathy Hochul, did endorse the mayor-elect. The controversy surrounding Bessent's statement highlights the ongoing debate within the Democratic Party about its leadership and direction. Cleveland Browns legend Bernie Kosar was discharged from a hospital on Monday after a successful liver transplant just a week earlier. Kosar, who was released a day before his 62nd birthday, said he feels like a walking miracle. The transplant came from 21-year-old Bryce Dunlap, who had died from complications of an anoxic brain injury the day before. Kosar spent 12 seasons in the NFL, 9 with the Browns, and was named to his lone Pro Bowl with the team, but won the Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys in 1993. He expressed gratitude for the donor's family and said he feels more than me now that he has a new liver. A new study from Northwestern Medicine suggests that current lung cancer screening guidelines may be missing most Americans who develop the disease, and researchers say it's time for a major change. The study analyzed nearly 1,000 lung cancer patients who were treated at Northwestern Medicine between 2018 and 2023. Only about 35% of those diagnosed with lung cancer met the current criteria to undergo screenings. Researchers argue that expanding screening to include all adults within an age range could help catch the missing cases. The Department of Justice, DOJ, has thrown its support behind Texas in a Supreme Court case over the state's Republican-drawn congressional map, arguing that it was not an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. Solicitor General John Sauer wrote in an amicus brief that a lower court's decision to block the map through the 2026 midterms was wrong, and that the Supreme Court should intervene and reverse the decision. The DOJ's move comes as Texas has asked the Supreme Court to pause the 3-judge panel's ruling in the Western District of Texas that found 2-1 last week that race was too much of a factor in its redraw. The case is one of several redistricting disputes across the country, with California voting in favor of an 11th-hour ballot measure that would cancel out the 5 Republican gains in Texas. The Virginia State Police have launched a manhunt for Union High School football coach Travis L. Turner, 46, who has been declared a fugitive following his disappearance from his home. Authorities announced Tuesday that they have obtained 10 warrants to charge Turner with 5 counts of possession of child pornography and 5 counts of using a computer to solicit a minor. Turner was first reported missing on Friday, November 21st, one day after troopers went to his home in Appalachia, Virginia. The search is ongoing across multiple jurisdictions, and authorities are asking anyone with information on Turner's whereabouts to contact the Virginia State Police Division 4 at 276-484-9483 or email questions at vsp.virginia.gov. A pair of major North American solar companies, including one touted by Senate Democrats in 2023, could face scrutiny over their ties to China. While the feds have created barriers to Chinese firms flooding the solar market, Many have found ways to localize operations in the US or North America in a manner that allows for public investment and even deferential press coverage at times. The U.S. Department of Justice has filed a friend of the court brief in support of plaintiffs suing Hawaii over its new concealed carry law, which restricts where people with permits can bring firearms. The DOJ argues that the law is unconstitutional and violates the Second Amendment. The case, Wolford v. Lopez, could have national implications, affecting millions of law-abiding residents in blue states. Republican lawmakers in these states are backing the plaintiffs, citing the need to protect constitutional rights. Several progressive candidates, endorsed by Senator Bernie Sanders and aligned with the Democratic Party's socialist wing, are gaining momentum in key House races across the country. In California's 22nd Congressional District, Democrat Randy Villegas is running to unseat Republican Rep. David Valadao, while in Colorado's 8th Congressional District, GOP Rep. Gabe Evans faces a challenge from Manny Rutinel, who has associated himself with far-left groups and politicians. Other candidates, including Amar Kampa-Najjar in California's 48th Congressional District and William Lawrence in Michigan's 7th Congressional District, are also vying for seats. The rise of progressive candidates is seen as a new research reveals that eating mushrooms could improve cardiometabolic and immune biomarkers, potentially boosting heart health. This finding is based on a study published in the journal Nutrients, which analyzed data from over 600 participants. The results suggest that consuming mushrooms may have a positive impact on cardiovascular health, although more research is needed to confirm these findings. In related news, a celebrity chef has spoken out about the need for restaurants to be more transparent about their menu ingredients, while younger Americans are increasingly opting for non-alcoholic drinks during holiday celebrations. The U.S. is quietly building up its military presence in Venezuela, a move that could lead to kinetic action against the country's government. The escalation comes as Washington seeks de-escalation abroad, while bracing for confrontation in its own hemisphere. Experts say momentum is building toward U.S. kinetic action, with possible strikes between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Longtime civil rights activist, Reverend Jesse Jackson, was released from a Chicago hospital on Monday after receiving medical care for at least 12 days for a rare brain disorder, according to his family. Jackson, 84, was discharged from Northwestern Memorial Hospital and remains in stable condition. His son and family spokesperson Yusuf Jackson said in a statement.